So we're starting here.
Boston. Baltimore.
I think Boston's in that picture. This picture was taken by Bill Anders, Christmas Eve, 1968. It is the quintessential photograph of the 20th century. This is the photograph that reminded us of Earth in context. And
a few months later, there was the blowout in Santa Barbara, not Boston, but Santa Barbara, of an oil spill of magnitude, and this image came across the news wires. Those two images in combination sparked a sea change of environmental laws.
So all of these laws, believe it or not, were promulgated by Richard Nixon, who we would welcome back with tears in our eyes. This whole endeavor for us is an act of the creative process.
We listen to those small, inspired voices that have taken us from one stretch, 1,000 yards of one beach that we've visited hundreds of times, to the shores here of Baltimore Harbor. Got that right this time. We always feel that we are in receipt of a gift.
So on Christmas Eve one year, we walked the beach and we found these two articles fairly close to each other and thought it was a sign. Go forth. So this story is a love story, really, and this is, we're also visual artists. This is a piece of mine. It's called Goofball Sends Nurse Betty a Love Poem, Who Returns It 10 Times.
Welcome to Kehoe Beach. It's a love story. We had our first date there in 1999, where we discovered each 3 years prior to our meeting we had been picking up plastic and making artwork out of it. On that fateful day, I bent down to pick up a piece of plastic, and Richard looks at me and says, "Are you going to keep that?"
And Judith picked up a piece of plastic, and I said, "Are you going to keep that?" And we went, "What are the chances?"
But the real cincher was on Valentine's Day, soon thereafter, when he made this red heart. Who wouldn't be charmed by that?
Oh.
out of garbage, right? And so we were actually married several years later at Burning Man, and this was my wedding dress that I made entirely out of recycled materials. It wasn't that I want my marriage to be necessarily recycled, but I wanted it, like plastic, to last forever.
So this is where Kehoe Beach is, just to orient you. You see San Francisco at the bottom there, and that's the amazing Point Reyes National Seashore. And we should put a link to a fabulous movie called Rebels with a Cause. You should say something about that. Rebels with a Cause.
It's a story of how the national park was saved by some really grassroots people that said, no, we're not going to have development here. We're going to save the ranch lands and incorporate those farmlands into what our idea of a park could be, and it has. And we're grateful. We feel like we're the stewards of that legacy to keep it going.
So do yourself a favor.
Yeah.
Come and visit. This is the beach. This is the beach in winter. This is the beach in springtime. Every time we go, we take a photograph from that same spot. Because it's seismically active, we thought we'd include a picture of Point Reyes is on your right. On the left is the mainland, and as you know, it's seismically active. What you're looking at is the Rift Valley of the San Andreas Fault.
And because it's a popular destination for geology classes, we often see students there with diagrams looking at the cliffs and determining the various geological strata. So one day when we were walking along, we tried to imagine what our era might look like with a layer of plastic embedded, and we call it the Plasticine discontinuity.
So the North Pacific, yeah.
I was going to ask, has anybody heard of the North Pacific Gyre, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch? Anyone aware of that?
It's pretty much in the ken of everyone now, and now it's discovered that there are 5 of these gyres in every major ocean.
But there are people that are, we call them gyre deniers, because they say if we can't see it on Google Maps, maybe it doesn't exist. And maybe that's true. But what we do know is what's washing up onto our beach. This is 1,000 yards of one beach. It's a remote beach, so this is not being left by picnickers. This is stuff that's washing up out of the ocean.
So we made a series of postcards just to entice people to come and visit.
We want our endeavor to be fun and another reason why to come to the beach. And so we think of it as a treasure hunt.
So this is to give an idea, because the figures are so daunting. Picture a mile-long line of shopping carts filled with plastic going into the ocean every 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Instead of falling into a pit of despair about what's going on, we have to say, this is really fun, and it's really great exercise. We call what we do stoop yoga. Every piece of plastic that we use in our artwork, we've bent over and picked up. So we take the plastic home to our barn home studio and we rinse it off. We don't think of it as really dirty, but sometimes there's oil and tar on it. We rinse it off and we spread it out in the sun to dry it off.
And try to muddle through what is all of this stuff. And that is a moment of excitement, to find what all of this stuff is, because it's all of ours. This is ours. Did I say this is ours?
So sorting things is the first pleasure. We love the categorization. Color is a determining factor. As artists, we just can't believe that we are in receipt of such remarkable art materials. We don't think of ourselves as cleaning the beach, we say that we're curating the beach.
Well, this is what it looks like in our barn. Fortunately, we have a barn, because everything that we collect, we don't throw away, because where is this away place? Does anyone know where away is?
So this is our inventory, so we're at the ready to go to create whatever we need.
I get to say to my children, someday this will all be yours.
So for 20 years, Richard had a business in San Francisco, a photography art services business with a very high-resolution camera. We worked with artists to help them realize their grand visions and use that same camera to help realize ours. So we arrange the plastic and then take photographs.
So these are, this is one of the photographs, and these are made into prints. This one is 4 feet wide, so you get the sense of it. And we're very interested in color, because we're classically trained artists in Bauhaus methodology. So this is, these pieces are called chromas. Chromas means color.
People often ask us, did we do something to the color? But the marvel of plastic is that it's color all the way through, and it's really a very beautiful material.
So here's a piece we did for the SF MoMA cafeteria, and since the theme is food, this little piece is called What's for Supper? Because we're all eating plastic all the time. We're breathing it.
We were commissioned to also do a series of prints for a eco resort just north of the Golden Gate Bridge, Cavallo Point, and did a series there for the toilet areas of the lodge.
There was a reporter who was on the TV news, and he stuck his microphone in my face, trying to wind me up a little bit, and he said, "How do you like being in the toilet?" And I said, "Dude, that's where the light is."
Plastic has inserted itself into our lives in really unexpected ways. It's everywhere and we don't even see it. I took note of these tiny pull tabs from milk and juice cartons.
Hold up your wrist.
Well, you'll see here. Once you attune yourself to anything, you start to see them everywhere. So these tiny pull tabs arrive in orange juice, in milk, in olive oil, and in many kinds of liquids as safety caps. So I realized they could link one inside the other and make quite a fine bracelet. I call this a fashion statement because when I'm wearing these items, people always take note, and it gives me a kind of a jolly way to talk about an environmental disaster because they're curious about what this might be, and I encourage then people to make their own. We had the good fortune of traveling on a safari, and this was quite a moment for me. I was wearing one of my bracelets, and the elder of the village comes rushing over, touching my arm, wanting to know what this unusual thing was, and I asked our guide to explain to her that these came from milk cartons, the plastic milk cartons, and never mind that the Maasai subsist on blood and milk from cows, but they didn't quite know what a milk carton was. So I gave her one of my bracelets, and in a moment of wonderful exchange, she gave me one of her beautiful beaded bracelets. And I always like to say, when we could not communicate with each other with words, that art held the day, that we made this exchange. And whenever I'm telling the story of her, she's telling the story of this woman that came to the village and started talking about milk cartons with plastic pull tabs. What does that mean?
Straws. Think about it. Every day, a school bus filled with straws goes into the ocean.
Ask yourself, do I really need this?
I think that speaks for itself.
Well, that little ice cream taster scoop, just for a second you use it, and then it is gone to that away place. We're not against plastic per se. It's a marvelous material that has saved lives through medical advances of many kinds. But the plastic that is single use, just only for a moment, and then it's tossed to forever, really.
So, smart water. Need I say more? Just say it to yourself.
One smart fella. He felt smart.
Just say that.
Two smart fellas. They felt smart. Come on, everybody. And what's so smart?
Yeah.
Seriously, we found this bottle of diet water.
Diet water.
Zero calories.
This is from India. This came to our shore all the way from India. We have bottles from all over the entire Pacific Rim. We have the definitive collection of bottles from the Beijing Olympics that are still washing ashore. So this is a question about population. I don't know if you can read that, but it's...
Just say, I can't.
Yeah, can't read it. It's, hey Ma, how much is 1,000,000 seconds? Can you read it? Well, honey, that's 12 days. Ma, how much is 1,000,000,000 seconds? 31 years. What's the world population? 7 billion. How many feet is that? 14 billion, more or less. So we found our first croc in 2004. All of these shoes we did a workshop in Corpus Christi. All of these shoes were picked up at the Aransas Wildlife Refuge in the space of 2 hours. So we have many interesting stories about the plastic. Probably one of the most interesting is finding Monopoly House on the beach. We've actually found 2. And we found out in our research that the game of Monopoly was invented by Lizzie Maggie in 1904, not Parker Brothers. And she had invented the game as a part of experiential education to teach people how onerous and hurtful gouging people for their rents. And so we love Monopoly.
Every piece of plastic we find has a story, and we love the deep forensic and research and trying to figure out what do these pieces of plastic say about our life and times. We invite you to join us on this very exciting journey. People always clamor after we give one of our presentations, "Oh, we don't have a beach nearby. Oh, what are we going to do? We don't have any plastic." Well, we encourage you to look around.
And the final theme is this is if there's anything that happened in the 60s, it was the do-it-yourself revolution. Do it yourself. You can do it. Everybody is empowered to do something. We just started out just 2 people picking up plastic, and we continue just 2 people picking up plastic, which our adventure is called micro-philanthropy.
So you start right wherever you are. If it's at the sidewalk in front of your apartment or the watershed or the river, wherever you are is a point of departure. It doesn't even have to be about plastic. We all know that there are so many issues. You just take that which speaks to your heart and do it. DIY. Thank you.
DIY.
Thank you.
Yeah.